Welcome to this week of the Driveway Podcast. We have a special one today. We have a fun one today. We have Matt Smith in studio, deputy editor, CarGurus.com. How are you today, Matt?
I'm doing great.
You're doing great. We're punchy.
Yeah.
We're feeling good.
We've had a terrific pre-production meeting.
There was a Milton Berle reference.
And then another one.
So,
yeah.
Also on the pod
if
today.
you know, you know.
If you know, you know. If you know him, you love him. We have Dave Underkoffler piping in from California. Dave, how are you right now?
We're good over here. We're very good. We got my auto list water bottle, editor-in-chief, my
There you
swag.
go.
You look.
I'm also...
Yeah, you look ready.
Yeah, two of
I'm
the
not
three
just
people.
in my casual California t-shirt like I normally am.
Yeah, there was a hat memo sent out that I missed. I'm hatless
great.
and I feel a little outnumbered.
Welcome. Come on in to Club Hat.
I love wearing a hat, but I've yet to feature the hat on the pod. Maybe
You know why? You know why I'm in this getup?
I
Where are we going
think
today?
I have an
Where are we
idea.
going today, fellas? We're going off-road.
Oh.
I am
Terrific.
dressed to off-road. Am I
I
not?
thought you were going to the local tech entrepreneurs retreat at Jackson Hole.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line. Oh, yeah. Me and Jerome Powell are hanging out. No, we're going to go, we're going to take some cars off-road.
He's a big Grateful Dead fan. Do you know that?
Is that real?
Yeah. Yeah, Jerome Powell. He got asked about it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
All right, the more you know.
Senate
Off-roading.
hearing or something. They were like, I saw that you went to a Grateful Dead concert or a Dead and Company concert. And he was like, yeah, I had a great time.
Well, good for him.
Wow.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
there you
Well,
go.
maybe, if these under pressure to lower interest rates, maybe some of these expensive cars become more affordable. Look, we're tying it all together.
Look at that.
All right, so
Elliot,
Dave,
It's a
What's the
political
topic?
podcast.
so
Oh,
the
God,
topic
no.
is the best off-road vehicles of 2025. And Dave, you're going off-roading. What are you taking off-roading? I know you own an off-roader. Is that what you're taking?
That's the
do you
thing.
have
So I'm a little biased. Let's get all of our biases
Yeah,
out
I
of
love
the way
biases.
here. So I have now restored a trio of classic Toyota 4x4s. So two Land Cruisers. So if you're Land Cruiser nerds out there, it was an FJ60, which is like the big boxy one from the 80s with the round headlights, and then an FJ62, which was only around for 3 years. Same body style, but it had the rectangle headlights. I've restored both of those when you could buy them cheap. They're no longer cheap. The classic car market has discovered them. So I gave up Land Cruisers, and now I have an 88 Toyota 4Runner. I've restored that. It's for those who remember those cars. They're the ones with they're two-door only, and there's a fiberglass roof that is removable, and there's a pair of back seats in the back, big roll bar. It's a perfect California car. I have a soft top I put on it. Put my kids in the back seat. We go around cruising around. It's like a convertible, off-road, reliable Toyota. So when we talk about some of the Toyotas that are on this list, remember my bias because it's there.
I'll tell you.
I apologize for none of it.
There's like this hierarchy of verbs in automotive enthusiasm where like you've got like drove, to drive. Everybody does that one. Maybe sold. Oh, I sold car. Be something there. And then there's like so you've got drive, sold, maybe race above that.
That's a big one.
I raced Miatas. Dave, I think restored.
Yeah.
That's the pinnacle. It's like
I don't know. I would
you
put
have
raced
bona
as
fides.
higher. Thank you.
You
I
think
appreciate that.
Well, maybe restored and raced, or raced and restored.
I'd put raced as higher. It's because I know automotive guys who have raced. I had an old car I used to track, but that wasn't racing. Racing is like you're in, man. Not only like you got the time investment, you got the money investment. yeah, on the track. You're probably a pretty good driver.
How do you know when somebody has experience racing cars?
You can tell with the way they walk.
They tell you.
Yeah, that was about to say.
They
It's
let
like
you know.
It's like meeting a vegan. You find out very quickly.
They find out.
It comes up somehow.
So when it comes to off-roading, you're Team Toyota.
I'm Team Toyota, but I don't think that's unfounded, right? Toyota has a decades-old legacy of building highly capable, highly reliable off-road vehicles. There are two on this list. We'll get to
There are three on this list.
It's three. Sorry, I missed the Tacoma. I'm thinking just SUVs.
And there could have been
but they've
4
earned
or
those
5,
chops.
depending on how adventurous you are.
They show up in the honorable mention.
The RAV4 could get out
Get
there.
out of here.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is it. Let's talk about what is not included on this list. I like this, that someone wrote down soft road versus off-road.
Yeah.
I never heard that comparison.
Yeah.
It's very true right now as the market, every automaker is coming out with an off-road-ish version of their very lukewarm vehicle. Off-road.
It's like they all on the Ken dolls that are their cars, they all decided that they needed the adventure outfit.
They needed to wear flannel and a vest.
Like, yeah,
right?
They needed to wear flannel and a vest and a baseball hat. Yeah.
So what that
I'm a
means
Ken
is
doll now. Cool.
so soft roader. I don't know who coined that term. You're the first person
It's a great
to say
term.
it, but I don't think it was the term. Maybe it was. If it was, congratulations.
I don't think I coined it. I feel like we heard our friends
on the
over
Honda.
at Honda.
Yeah. Okay, so soft roading
Which is
versus
a
off roading.
little ironic, but okay.
Yeah.
So they were
That it came
talking
from
about
them.
their vehicle, the Trail Sport, the CRV Trail Sport. That is a soft
Which
roader.
is
it's
did they admit that the CRV Trail
Yes.
Sport was a soft roader?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
all right.
So we drove that.
They're self-aware.
The CRV Trail Sport, which is a hybrid, which is kind of cool. I feel like a lot of these more off-road oriented vehicles aren't hybrids. So it's
Right.
kind of interesting
Right.
that
No.
Honda does pair those two. Otherwise, like disparate ideas. They put them together, but they put us on a course, sort of. I know it was at an off-road park, but it was like off to the side at an off-road park, and we drove around the course, and of course the car performed admirably because it was a controlled environment,
especially in all those uphill segments.
I did ask. I noticed all of the off-roading, the challenge elements. They were all going downhill. So it was like showing the wheel articulation as it's cresting a hill, or it was like demonstrating the hill descent control. Like there was no going up. And I asked them, I said, can we do the course in reverse? And the first guy said, yeah, sure, why not? Never say no to a journalist. And the second guy said, no, actually you can't. We can't do them in reverse. So
Because
I think
it's a soft roader.
That's kind of a good definition of a soft roader versus an off-roader. An off-roader
any of
will
these
do
on
it
our
in whichever
list.
direction it wants.
Yes, right. It'll make its own direction.
Yeah.
So we brought up the Trail Sport as a soft roader.
Yeah.
There's a couple
100
other
degrees in
trim
here.
names. There's Hyundai's XRT. There's Kia's X Pro, right? Mm-hmm. There's Subaru Wilderness. Are any of those more serious than other, or are we all considering them soft roaders?
I mean, personally,
Yeah.
I put the Wilderness a step
Like in the middle,
above,
maybe?
largely because of what they've done with the gearing on them. They've made real mechanical changes.
It's not just all-terrain tires and call it a new trim.
Exactly. And I have like a little bit of a hot take there that we can
let's hear it.
save. We'll
hear it
get
later.
into it later. But so
Stay to the end for the hot take.
Something like a Jeep Wrangler, which is the first car on this list and probably the vehicle that everybody thinks about when they think about off-roaders. That's something with locking differential, selectable four-wheel drive, lots of ground clearance. It's specifically, it's like purpose-built and engineered for tackling off-road obstacles. So the wheels are pushed to the front and the back. There's very little overhangs. That helps with the approach and departure angles. This is a car or a vehicle, an SUV, that when they were engineering, they were like, our number one job is to make sure that this can go up a boulder.
Yeah.
It's insane. I've been to Easter Jeep Safari. It's this annual gathering out in Moab, Utah. And you see Jeeps of all sizes, ages, stripes, degrees of modification. I will never forget. We were in a reasonably modified Jeep. It wasn't crazy big, nothing unlike you will see driving down the road. But there is a bone stock base model coming up behind us. And I don't remember the section of trail. I know everyone who knows off-roading in Moab, there's certain sections of trails that are named. This was not a named, icon section, but it was a very aggressive hill, rock climb section area. And this guy it might have been a rental, bone stock.
He just wanted to be there.
Nothing to it. He nor the Jeep broke a sweat climbing this aggressively steep section of terrain that, none of the soft roaders would have ever been able to get anywhere remotely close to this. And this was, I cannot impress. This had like pizza cutter tires, right? Those like steel rims, the cheapest Jeep you've ever seen in your life. Absolutely just blew the doors off everything else and went right up this crazy rock climb sort of configuration. And that was like, that's it. You don't need, that defines what a Jeep Wrangler is and has always been. Bone stock, it can do what this just did.
Right.
It was remarkable.
And you look at our list, and like there are a number on here. So like the Wrangler, we've talked about. The Bronco is the same thing. It was engineered from step one, point A, let's make this an off-road. That's why it looks the way it looks.
Had a clear
and Matt,
purpose.
to your point about going on a press drive where you have an automaker who has sort of self-selected a course, I went to the Bronco press launch. It was down in Austin, Texas, I think, outside Austin, where Ford now has these like sort of off-road centers.
Yeah.
Is that the off-rodeo?
Yes.
Yeah.
This was the trail we were on was absolutely legit.
Was it
and Ford
bouldering?
had us on. No, I don't think I'd call this bouldering. But again, it was like, but this is where an automaker, rather than sort of self-selecting, oh, they're going to kind of make this course, they know their vehicle. This was a legitimate course and again, a stock Ford Bronco, absolutely no problem.
Yeah.
I mean, that car, so capable.
Yeah.
And I will say, if someone is like, ooh, I'm considering a Wrangler or a Bronco, on road driving, I'll take a Bronco any day.
Yeah.
So if we're being honest with ourselves, we're driving it on most of the time. It's definitely more refined than a Wrangler. So if that factors in your consideration between those two vehicles, go Bronco.
In your mind, is there one that is more capable not on road? On this off road, is there like?
I have not experienced either of them off road in a situation where I was like, this one is capable, where this one is not. I don't think you'd have to really test limits to find a difference between the two of them. I will say there's the Bronco Raptor, Raptor, versus the Wrangler. Was it 392?
392, yeah.
Give me the 392 all day, every day, because it has that V8. The Raptor V6, cool story, bro. It's the theater of driving a Wrangler 392 with like an active exhaust on it. I have never heard, she's now older, but my oldest daughter was 3 years old when I was test driving the 392, and we got on an on-ramp, and I hit the open exhaust button and floored it. I have never heard that child giggle like she giggled. It was just like guttural, just like pure joy. That car is it's not a car, the truck, the Wrangler 392, endlessly entertaining. It's also like $100,000. But like, give me that over a Bronco Raptor all day.
My favorite part about this story is that when I got a 392 to test, I took it up to New Hampshire and drove around with like my 70-year-old father, and he had the same reaction as the 3-year-old.
Exactly.
Just giggling.
It's delightful.
I do love that vehicle. I'd also call out the Defender on here. So on our list, the Defender is the only non-body on frame. It's a unibody.
Unibody.
Some might look at that and say, well, that's a crossover then. We're not here to split hairs. But the Defender, when you look at the design, it deserves to be on this list, not just because of the heritage of the name, which Defender is about as OG, about as legitimate as you get. But you look at the design, you see the off-road purpose-built dimensions where you're saying this is something you can get it in a 2-door for one, so it's like super maneuverable. It has short overhangs. It's kind of the odd one out on this list, but if you look at it and you know what to look for a good, great off-roader, it has all those hallmarks. So I mean, whoever wrote this list, John Graham, great inclusion.
So would you say that body on frame versus unibody is typically a divider between off-road and soft-road, or is it not that simple?
Yes.
Obviously, because we're calling the Defender a good off-roader, and it is a
generally the hardcore off-roaders are going to be body on frame.
Okay.
Again, not a hard and fast rule. Exceptions both ways of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But as we see, as Matt pointed out, on this list, everything else is body on frame. That's the only unibody. And I remember when they first announced that the Defender, the new one, was going to be unibody, there were definitely those people who were like, bah.
Yeah, so the old ones were body on frame, right?
The old ones were, someone pointed out, the old Land Rovers, and they weren't always called Defenders, but the old Land Rovers, there are more people on this planet who the first time they ever saw a vehicle, it was a Land Rover Defender coming out of the bush, right? Like, than any other vehicle on the planet. Maybe a Toyota Land Cruiser is like second.
You mean
but in terms of
like the first time civilizations were introduced to automobiles, it was a Defender coming from.
It was a Land Rover. What a title. Yeah, a Defender predecessor back in the day. Like I said, they haven't always been called the Defender, but yes, they were, like that car has been corners of this earth that nothing else has been to.
I love that. I'd also point out that the body on frame versus unibody, while yes, it is kind of a bellwether, it's not hard and fast. So like the Jeep Cherokee the XJ from the 90s is the off-roader that like so many high school kids were driving around when they first got their license and were interested in these. And those were famously unibody. So there's a lot of like day-to-day reasons, practicality reasons, comfort reasons to want a unibody vehicle. But there is still, I mean, there's a truth to like a body-on-frame architecture just allows you to like engineer more capability into the platform at the expense of, you know, frankly, your comfort. And
yeah, it's true. Let's get to the Toyotas. There's two, like I said, there's two SUVs and one truck.
Yeah.
There's the Toyota Land Cruiser and a Toyota 4Runner, and then the Tacoma.
Yep.
I will start with the Land Cruiser. Let's just address the elephant in the room. If anyone has been following the saga of Land Cruisers of late, this generation of Land Cruiser, some people who are annoying,
it's not a
think
Land Cruiser.
It's not a Land Cruiser. It's a Prado. They say that because for years in the U.S. market, we got largely the same Land Cruiser as was sold globally. A few years ago, Toyota said, sorry, guys, no one is buying the Land Cruisers here in the U.S. They were $90,000. The sales were in like they sold 2,000 of them or something like that. Very low. The market was just not, it didn't make sense, right?
I would like to just interject. The problem wasn't the price. It was the vehicle for that price. Like it
was the consumer's
like
awareness.
A $90,000 vehicle. Unless
if you got in
knew
it,
what you
it
were
was
getting.
a $90,000 vehicle. If you knew what you were getting, and if you knew the heritage and the off-road capability and the comfort level, it was worth $90,000. It's just in the U.S., people who spend $90,000 need a luxury badge on that car,
and
the
we
Toyota
would look
didn't
at it
have
and we'd say, "Oh, it's more expensive than the Highlander. It must be nicer." And you'd get in and be like, "Oh, this is a totally different vehicle from a Highlander. That's not. You weren't buying nicer. You were buying capability."
Yes, and those who knew what they were appreciated them. It's just not enough. There wasn't the
There were 8
equity.
of them.
Yeah. So for the next generation, they said, all right, America, you screwed it up. You didn't buy enough of them. We're giving you what's sold globally as the Prado. It is a smaller vehicle. So there's some like diehards who are like, oh, this isn't the Land Cruiser. There is a new Land Cruiser tearing up the globe that is not sold here in the U.S. now. It's the bigger one. But again, it would be like a $95,000 vehicle. So this one, some people are like, it's not a true Land Cruiser. I disagree because none of those people are actually taking it off-road or they didn't buy the old one. Put your money where your mouth is. This is a highly capable, comfortable, it's a hybrid powertrain. I think I got better gas mileage driving the hybrid on Land Cruiser than I did on the 4Runner, which is the smaller vehicle. The only knock I have against the Toyota Land Cruiser now is that it is not 3 rows. Because it's a hybrid, the batteries are where the seats would go in the back. If you want 3-row, you go to the Lexus GX, which it sort of shares a platform with. You get a twin turbo V6 on the Lexus and 3 rows of seats.
You could argue that this Land Cruiser, this Prado Land Cruiser, is actually more honest and like truthful to the heritage of the Land Cruiser because it wasn't until your generation, I think, the FJ 80s.
The 60s was when they kind of started going after Land Rovers, blanking on the name, all these Lands. And they were trying to sort of go after the Range Rover, frankly. The FJ60 and the FJ62 in the 80s, they're boxy, they're big. And then the FJ80 in the early 90s, they went sort of full Lux. And that's kind of where some people think they kind of lost the plot. The FJ80s are remarkable, highly capable. Those things are over-engineered in the best way. And then they just sort of got, bigger and cushier. And Matt, that's a great point. This generation kind of is like, all right, no one wants a $90,000 super squishy Land Cruiser. Let's get it back to a little more basics. These are $60,000 plus. Yeah. Still expensive. I mean, that's a lot of money.
I do.
But anyway, huge fan of Land Cruiser. This new one is so well executed. It does everything.
If folks are interested in like the history of that vehicle, because it's actually, I think it predates the Jeep, like the original Jeep. I think the original Land Cruiser was, I want to say like in the 30s.
Okay.
It might have been early 40s, but it was produced and like pitched as the general purpose military vehicle, and they didn't win the contract. Jeep or Willys or whoever it was then won it. But there's a terrific museum in Salt Lake City that has basically one of every example, and you can really see how many different iterations of the Land Cruiser there have been, and like how in each generation there were different variations of it. So like they've got one that's like a news truck from Japan with like a little like radio operator seat in the back and like fire trucks and ambulances. Like they used them.
What also shows, like I was saying about the Land Rover, the many corners of the earth that a Toyota Land Cruiser has been to it's remarkable where that vehicle. And I will say, again, I'm biased. I think they're more reliable than a Land Rover. So you're going to make it to the corner of the earth and back.
Even with
hopefully without things
with the
breaking.
turbo engine, I'd still agree with you.
And
Yeah.
I think they look fantastic. I think the Land Cruiser is one of my favorite looking ones on this entire list.
Yeah.
Is this the one that comes with square headlights versus circle or circular
Yeah, you can get
headlights?
two different
Depending on the trim.
styles, which is, you don't see that every day. I mean, again, that's a throwback to the ones from the 80s.
Yeah, and Dave,
I think the base trim, the 1958, comes with round headlights, and then the high end, the top trim, comes with round headlights. I think the squared headlights in the middle trim is the best looking version.
Yeah, I was going to say the picture we have here on the actual article has the square headlights. I think they look great because it fits with the square vibe of the front end. It's a really cool looking front end, and I love when. I don't always love it, but I think Toyota, when they spell out Toyota like they do on the Tacoma, like higher trims, I think it just looks cool. It's like we're staking our claim here. It looks nice.
I love how like Dave's enthusiasm for these is like genuinely infectious. You can see
They're the best.
Just vibrating over Zoom here.
All right, so why don't one of you guys wax poetic about something on this list?
Well, there's a lot of trucks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I don't think a lot of people necessarily look at trucks as like naturally like off-roading vehicles. I think we still look at trucks as these are kind of like work vehicles.
Yeah.
But the Ram 1500, they've got the Rebel trim.
Yeah.
The Ford F-150 has the Tremor and the Raptor if you want to do more of like a dune jumping.
Yeah, they always talk about dune jumping. What's the Raptor versus the Tremor? Is the Tremor more off-road and the Raptor's just the crazy one?
I think
is that the breakdown?
The Raptor is as much about speed as it is about capability.
Okay.
Right. You're not necessarily rock crawling or bouldering in a Raptor. You're going 100 miles an hour and then jumping it. Although a bunch of people did that when the Raptor first came out and they were bending the frames because they're like, all right, idiots. It's not engineered for that. Like, there's always going to be people who are like,
Chevy Colorado's on here.
Yeah.
They've got the ZR2 Bison, and then the Tacoma, which we talked about. But they've got the TRDs, and they have the Trail Hunter, which is new for this generation.
So let's talk a little bit.
Because there's the TRD Pro,
Yeah.
which is more of the speed oriented, right? And the Trail Hunter is more of the crawler guy.
I think it's more like the TRD Pro is the off-road one, and the Trail Hunter is supposed to be more of like an overlanding rig.
I think that's fair, but the Trail Hunter, Matt and I were lucky enough to be on the first. It wasn't a drive, right? It was the first look of the Tacomas back in 24 for the 25 year, I think it was.
A lot of accessories.
But the Trail Hunter came with the rock rails. It came with the snorkel that they're not calling it a snorkel. I forget what the
was
word.
that standard?
I believe it was.
Yeah,
You gotta love
I
a
believe
it
standard
was.
snorkel.
That was on the
You
Trail
know what
Hunter.
the TRD Pro comes standard with, which is stupid.
Let's talk about
those stupid seats. They have these front seats that are there's a suspension
isodynamic.
system built into these front seats. Built in, it's really more of the back.
Yeah.
So there's like this huge plastic shell on the back of the two front seats in the Toyota TRD Pro Tacoma. I took it actually off-roading to see if it made any difference, and I was playing with all the settings. I didn't notice any difference. They also absolutely destroy the usefulness of the rear seats. No one with legs can sit in the rear seats.
It was already tight back there.
Yeah. The Tacoma is not a big vehicle to begin with. It's body on frame. It is not a big truck inside.
Yeah.
And then to me, I'm like, Toyota, why is this standard? Make it maybe an option.
Yeah.
But like they couldn't have been cheap. The TRD Pro is already very expensive. So make the TRD Pro a little cheaper. Have that as an option for the 7 people who never are going to use the back seat. They can brag about it to their buddies. But I was like, that's such a miss by Toyota.
Yeah.
What is the deal with these things?
Those have got to be
ridiculous.
a couple $1,000
It's
seats
also-
for sure.
I think that
That do nothing.
Well, I will say, Dave, I'm not going to ask you, but I think I'm going to venture a guess that I am a heavier boy than you. I could
Dave's
tell.
very tall.
Dave is very tall. That's true.
But
That's true.
I mean, Elliot's
He just spreads it out.
I'm not short, but Dave is taller
Elliot's
than I
more
am.
solid.
I am. Thank you. I'm a solid boy.
You're a man. You're a grown man.
Boy sounds fun.
You are a grown up. You have kids.
Too. That's all to say. I did feel a little bit of a difference. You have to look up the table to find your weight and set it to the pressure, which I did.
It's like setting your din on your ski bindings.
And I could feel a difference. It was not enough by any stretch to warrant how useless it made the back seats because in my
the cost that was built into that vehicle.
This is like a bigger merchandising philosophy question, but in situations like these, always make them optional, because if the people who want them, first off, you don't have to put them in the press fleets if you don't want to. We'll drive them and we'll just talk about them because we'll say, and they also offer this that we didn't have a chance to try in our testing vehicle, and everyone reading the review will get really frustrated about that, but that's just how the business works.
Preach.
And then the folks who go out and buy them and who say, I'm going to spend an extra $3,500 for the special seats, they are the greatest advocates an automaker can get. Because once you've spent the money, you're going to tell everybody.
You have to.
You're going to tell
Best
everybody,
$3,500 I ever
they
spent.
totally work. They totally work.
Oh, you didn't get the seats in yours? Oh man, what are you thinking? These are the best things ever. No, they're
so they
definitely
should,
not.
I agree. They should not be standard, not just because they're a huge pain in the butt, but because if they weren't standard, then the narrative wouldn't be these things aren't worth it. They don't do anything. It would be, I paid extra for these and I love them.
Totally worth it.
Well, and the TRD Pro is that's a $60,000+ truck, isn't it?
Very
expensive. It's absurdly expensive. So get that price point lower. So we're not all talking about, it's a great truck otherwise.
I'm not wearing a hat. All right.
This is a great reason
take it with a grain of
watch
salt.
the podcast instead of just listening.
I have not restored.
wearing a hat.
I have not restored any vehicles. I have not restored any off-roading vehicles. I've done off-roading when an automaker sets it up for me.
Yeah.
So I have less experience than definitely from Dave, and I know from Matt as well. However, my favorite experience that I've ever had off-roading is in a Toyota TRD Pro. It was on a Toyota program, so it was perfectly set up for us to enjoy ourselves. But it was like a
professional driver on a closed course.
There was a professional. Yes,
technically, it was.
Absolutely.
God, there's
but he was in the passenger seat helping me.
$6,000.
But
you were being paid to drive that day.
Oh, I was the professional. Oh, I like that.
In the loosest
I like that.
definition.
In a very loose but technically true definition, I was a professional driver that day. But it was on an off-road course, but it was a much higher speed off-road course than I had been on previously. And there was a section where we literally, he was in the passenger seat. He was like, go, 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 push. And we got up to 50, 55, I think, and we jumped the TRD Pro. We got airborne in the TRD Pro, and that's the only time I've ever been airborne in a vehicle.
It was like Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
It was incredible. The world slowed down. My hair was flowing. It was.
I can imagine.
Playing?
It was. There was my.
Was it the Eagles?
My happy yippee scream.
It was just like a chorus of angels, just sort of. Yeah.
But the fact that they took these vehicles and said, "Yeah, jump them. They're going to be fine," and they didn't. It was just what we were doing. It was so cool.
So.
That contrasts to I took a Honda Pilot, Ridgeline, the truck.
Yeah.
Jumped that one time and popped the oil pan. Turns out the oil pan was not reinforced with any sort of skid plate.
That's also, I don't think anybody...
Not as fun a story, but sorry, Honda. I mean, this is years ago, long time ago.
Nobody is selling a Honda Ridgeline saying, you know what this truck is totally capable of doing?
They told us to jump. They told us to do this. Yeah.
Really?
And I will say, I'm not going to name him, but my co-pilot at the time, who was completely on board and encouraging me to do this, is now running PR for an automaker. You know who you are out there. We're not going to name names. But anyway, I just want to go back real quick to the TRD Pro. It starts at $66,000, which is like... God, that's a lot of money.
That
so
includes the
again,
seats.
$3,000 of that is probably these seats.
Yeah,
get them out of there.
$62,500 is a more palatable price.
They're giving them away.
Yeah.
So you both have jumped a V. I've never done
I've done lots of vehicles. Let's talk about all the vehicles I've jumped.
My most potent memory, Elliot, you were actually there for it.
Yeah,
it's a great descriptor.
So.
Good descriptor.
My number one
Potent
tip
memory.
for folks off-roading as someone who's not, an expert know-it-all off-roader, but we've all done a handful of experiences here, and it's just slow down, man. You know, honestly, one of the big differences between a soft roader and an off-roader for me is with a soft roader, when you are faced with an uphill challenge, hit the gas and hold on. Like it's a momentum game. And a true off-roader, they can crawl.
Yeah.
They can get down into low range, and they just keep rotating those wheels and pulling you up the hill, almost like there's a winch attached to the front. It's astonishing to experience.
It's astonishing.
Yeah,
especially when you are like, all you see is sky.
Yes.
It's so
terrifying.
steep, and you're just like, I can't see, and you've got like maybe a spotter kind of like in your like periphery, and you're like, I see nothing. This is it's so cool.
Hey friends, Elliot here, cutting into your episode. I have to warn you, in the next couple minutes, the audio is going to get just a little bit weird. We had some technical difficulties, so we're not going to sound quite as crisp as I do right now for the rest of the episode, but I hope you'll bear with us because we still have some fun stuff to talk about. So without further ado, back to the episode.
Elliot and I were outside Austin, Texas.
Okay,
it was the Jeep Grand Cherokee 4xe, which actually is not on this list. That is one that I would say is kind of
It could be.
Yeah, the Trailhawk Jeeps are. I said Wilderness was a cut above. The Trailhawk Jeeps are a cut above the Wilderness. They are like truly capable.
Well,
and a lot of that is because
there's
design.
the starting point, the baseline of a Jeep itself is already good.
Yeah. So we're outside Austin. It's in hill country, and we are rock crawling.
Yeah.
And I had never done this before.
And that was my first off-road experience at all.
So
I can handle myself on dirt trails, and you throw a little mud in there. Like, I don't panic when the wheel starts to spin. But rock crawling is a totally different experience for me.
He was a little nervous.
I was like shaking.
Why? It's not your car.
And of course, this is, we go out there and we're going to film a review of this vehicle. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, don't worry. Like, I've done lots of off-road, but I had never done rock crawling yet. Oh my goodness. I think we have some kind of outtakes of that in the video.
See if I can find
We'll find it. It's on our YouTube channel. But we got to the end. I was like, none of this is useful.
Yeah.
I'm like shaking while we're going over these things. I'm trying to talk to the camera, and it is taking all of my focus. And of course, they've got some spotters out there, because one of the things, like, you see a lot of times you'll like go on a program and they'll have spotters out there, and you're like, just get out of the way. Like, just let me test the vehicle. On this Jeep trip, I'm like trying to talk to Elliot and just stopping halfway through, be like, hold on, I have to focus on what this guy's hand signals mean. Like, it's
a language.
I think everyone listening should go off-roading with somebody who marginally knows what they're doing, because it is a paradigm shifting event, because we spend our whole lives driving these cars and we think we know sort of their capabilities, but to take something truly off-road and to see what things on this list, not your soft roader, but things on this list can do up or down a trail, it's like it redefines what driving is. They are so they can do things that you never thought would be possible, and it's a riot. It's so fun.
Yeah,
everyone should try it once.
That Grand Cherokee rock crawling. So when we're on trips together, I'm in the passenger seat with a camera on a tripod, because it's very cinematic, it's very high quality, and we wanted to get Matt doing commentary while doing this. It was our first time, and we'll be okay. Totally. I mean, Matt's commentary was unusable, but my camera work was also unusable. It was all over the place.
It's like flailing around in the car.
Impossible.
Yeah, there's no good way to do that.
Clips. But yeah, what a trip. Fun trip.
It's great.
Nerve-wracking. I mean, there were points where I think we were vertical.
It
we
really
weren't.
feels. I mean,
But it felt like
the
it.
thing about when you're rock crawling, you don't have as many points of reference, like right outside your window. So when you start to like feel the angle of the car, it just feels like you're just about to fall over.
I remember there was a time when I felt the seatbelt was holding me in my seat. Like I was
Like you're
forward
in
and it was
space.
supporting me. And I said, I've never felt this in a car before.
Yeah, man, it's
so
fun
cool.
though.
That was a fun.
It's so fun.
trip.
The only vehicle we haven't talked about, at least briefly on this list, is the Mercedes G-Class. I've never driven one. I know we've kind of made some jokes about the G550 versus the AMG, and like, what's the point of the 550? Like, if you can't afford an AMG, you can't afford a G-Class. Dave, have you driven the G-Class
Driven
off-road?
multiple off-road. On like a dirt trail, I wouldn't call it off-road. I've driven it in some off-road snow. Like we had one previous generation, kind of the original generation, G63. I was visiting my parents. This was 10 plus years ago in upstate New York for Christmas. And they got, I don't know, I think conservatively 3.5, 4 feet of snow. And they lived, at the time, there was this kind of long driveway and then a road. And, so it had been like 3 days of plows just going by, plowing all the snow into the driveway. So there was not, there was like, 3.5 feet of snow down the length of the driveway and then a wall to get out onto the street. And I put that, and again, this is a G63. So this has like tires that are, like this thick, right? Performance tires on this thing. Not ready for snow, not ready for off-road and I don't think I even put it in like a mode. I just drove it. And I mean, 3 different triple locked differentials. That thing didn't even blink and plowed not only all the way down the driveway, again, on pizza cutter tires, and then blasted through the massive, 6 feet plus snowbank that was like condensed snow. This is like heavy stuff. Like it wasn't even trying. And that's the thing about these G-Wagons. They are so over capable. Yeah. It's just like this weird dichotomy of or this paradox. You're in this arguably one of the more luxurious vehicles you'll ever be in. And then it is also at the same time, potentially one of the more capable vehicles you'll ever be in. Yeah, totally cool.
It's an interesting one too, because you talk about some of the vehicles on here have true heritage. The Defenders on it, the Land Cruiser. These are cars that deserve to be in the conversation, if just based on their laurels. The G-Class,
I feel like it's kind of gotten overlooked a little bit because it's become such a status symbol. But if you look at the historic footage on Mercedes-Benz websites of these things, first off, they're built in Graz, Austria, at Magna Steyr, I don't know, some Austrian factory. But the footage of them is it's grainy, VHS quality of just mountain.
Well, they made short wheelbase.
These snow-capped peaks and.
Yeah, really, they made short wheelbase versions. They made convertible versions. They're like the old school, these diesel motors in them from back in the day. The legend is, and Mercedes is now leaning into this story, is that the Shah of Iran, who was, and I'm reading this off of Mercedes' website, was one of Mercedes' largest shareholders at the time, suggested that the car company make a military off-road vehicle that also appealed to civilians. And thus the G-Wagon was born. So yeah, it comes from more humble. Maybe not the Shah of Iran, not particularly humble, but it's more humble than one might imagine as you look at a $190,000 G63 cutting you off in traffic. This has off-road cred going back to its origins.
Yeah. Do we have favorites?
Yeah, let's go into favorites.
I want to hear Elliot's favorite.
My favorite. Oh, tough. It's tough because it's
you're going first.
I'm not going out on the weekend and off-roading like some people.
You don't need to excuse it. You're good. Don't explain yourself.
My favorite on this is probably the Bronco.
There's no shame there.
I love the Bronco. I was in it the first year. We did a Wrangler versus Bronco comparison test, and just driving them side by side, the Wrangler felt more planted off-road, so maybe that should be my choice. But the Bronco was just more enjoyable to be inside. And I think I like the look of the Bronco. There's a green Bronco on my frequent commute, and it just looks incredible. And you take the top off of it, and it has the green, that deep green Ford color. It just looks so good.
Yeah.
And I remember it was wide, so it was harder to maneuver on the trail. The Wrangler is so good because it's fairly compact. It's narrow and it's short. The Bronco is a little bit wider, but just being behind the wheel of that one just felt a lot more put together. It felt more stable.
Yeah. Ford hit a home run with the Bronco. It is so hard for an automaker to, from scratch, come out with a vehicle so purpose-built and succeed so dramatically.
Yeah.
Clearly from, the lowest rung engineer all the way up to the CEO of that company was on board of we are going to absolutely crush this vehicle. Well, we're going to get every element of it right. And that's hard to do these days. And they largely did.
I think the challenge, I've never built a car.
You haven't?
I haven't even restored.
Oh, you got to restore something.
But I have to imagine the challenge wasn't so much engineering a great off-road vehicle, because like we've seen some of the concepts and like the SEMA stuff, like automakers, the people working at these companies, they know what they're doing. Like they know how to build a car that can do whatever the purposes they want to do. What was on it, like genuinely courageous from like a business perspective, was Ford saying, we're going to build an off-road vehicle. Not we're going to build the new Tacoma, which they'll be able to use for this or this. Oh, and there's going to be a great off-road trim. Or the 4Runner even, which is, it's like, oh, it's got to be off-road capable, but also we're going to have a limited trim of it. Ford said, we're going to put in all the R&D to make a genuine, bona fide off-roader. It doesn't have to do anything else.
But it's going to also be a strong business case. It's going to make the dealer body happy. It's going to be safe and pass all the safety regulations. Like,
I think the fact that they had the Bronco name to put on it, and like they could, people would buy it regardless of its capability, just because it was called Bronco
initially.
The return of the Bronco, and they used that to like give them cover to say, no, it's not going to be a friggin' family hauler. It's going to be an off-road vehicle. And,
you knew what you were getting when you bought it.
And as such, it's been a huge success because the market doesn't have a lot of those. I mean, look at the Wrangler's been selling like hotcakes, and they barely do anything to it every year.
Right. Like, if you look at Wrangler sales, the minute the Bronco joined the market, Wrangler sales definitely started to, because there's definitely
it's like they said, hey,
cannibalizing.
There's this corner here. There's only one player.
Yeah.
We can make a better vehicle.
And highly profitable. These are not complicated vehicles.
Like it's free money.
You make good money. Yeah, it's good money. Yeah.
Yeah.
And dealers love it. One random, maybe people don't care. Dealers love both of these vehicles because they can accessorize, or buyers accessorize the snot out of these vehicles, which is all just gravy when you're at the dealership. Those dealers love that. So you have a dealer body who's enthusiastic about selling it. That helps a lot.
I like the 4Runner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new one.
Well, all right. So
get into it.
This is kind of, we're going to bend some timelines. I've driven the previous Gen 4Runner a handful of times, and I love it. I think it is an iconic design. It's not good by modern standards. It has like a 5-speed automatic transmission, an old V6, but it has like an analog feel to it, and it feels like an off-roader, but that I could drive every day.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily sure if it would like be more comfortable than an Outback every day, but it could go a lot further than Outback. I have not driven
They're not big.
the new 4Runner, or have I? Because one is being delivered to my house for me to test on Tuesday, which by the time this episode airs will be 2 weeks prior.
Yeah, we'll have to check in and see.
So I have both driven the new 4Runner and not driven the new 4Runner.
Well, hopefully you love it.
Time is a circle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm hopeful too. I really like the old one. I have a 4Runner t-shirt. It has like the grills of all of the generations of 4Runner on the back.
Yeah.
And
I need that.
I was my wife is a teacher, and she was hanging out with one of her colleagues, and I like walk through our living room, and I have this shirt on, and the other teacher just looks and goes, "Is that a 4Runner shirt?" And I was like, "That's how you know."
Wow. Okay.
This car has a fan base.
Speaking of fans, Dave, 4Runner, or Land Cruiser?
I'm going Land Cruiser, but I'm going to do a little bit of I'm going to cheat. I'm going to say, give me a 2-year-old used Land Cruiser in the new body style. I do think they are expensive for what they are. I've seen Land Cruisers this new generation where the Land Cruiser is more expensive than the Lexus GX, which is like, that shouldn't happen.
That's a little crazy.
That's because I think they're not making lots of, crossing streams, because they're not making many of them, and there is such an appetite for them that I think it's driving prices up. So let someone else do the depreciation for 2 years. I'll take a used one, and I would honestly, I love the idea of buying a vehicle and then just keeping it for a very long time. I would keep that for 20 years, and that happily, as like if you were saying, what car would you like for the next 20 years? It's a Toyota Land Cruiser. Again, I'm biased, but
fantastic.
So that's another verb for the auto enthusiast. We've got drive, sold, race, restore, flip. You know,
I thought you were going to say bias.
Dave does not flip cars. He
No.
wants to
I'm not
buy
a
it, own
flipper.
it for $20. He doesn't flip cars, nor does he flip cars.
There you go. Shiny side
He
up.
just punctures oil tanks, right?
That's
all.
right.
Yes. Yes. But I don't need to flip cars to ruin them. I can do that with the wheels on the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Plus, people won't see it. You know,
Yeah. Just they'll see it not drive and leaking
Yeah.
oil all over, but it's fine.
just don't look down.
Well,
Sorry,
you know
Honda.
what? Somewhere
Honda
along
makes
the
good
line,
stuff. I'm
Dave
so
took
sorry.
off the vest. I just noticed that.
I did. It was it's like wearing like earmuffs. It's hot with these things on.
It was too hot for him, but Dave does
schwitzing.
have to get out to the trail. He still has his hat and flannel on. It's time to wrap this up. Guys, thank you for potting this week. Thanks for sharing your off-roading memories, your off-roading choices. And I think we had a good time here today.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we learned something too.
We learned something. Thank you guys very much. Everybody, we'll see you next week.
Later.